Welcome to the Double Indemnity podcast. I'm your host, Toby Clegg, alongside my co-host, the legendary Stuart Reid. And today we're delighted to be joined by Dave Martin from Aviva with a huge number of titles. So I'm going to hand you over to explain them. I would have just said King of Broking and Commercial, Outsourcing and everything, but officially, there's more.
Officially, so welcome. I'm Dave Martin. I happen to be the Managing Director of the UK commercial business in the UK, but for my sins, I'm also the Chief Distribution Officer for all broker business in the UK. So I look after all of our broker relationships, all our broker marketing, as well as our proposition development and all that stuff, as well as running the core P&L.
And the size of the broking, is it 2 billion I've got in my head, something like that?
Yeah, the size of the overall broking business in the UK is 7 billion.
7.
And the UK commercial business is just over 2 billion.
That was it.
Wow, that's pretty sizable.
It's quite a breadth.
I don't think I dented it now. I thought we had a good account with Aviva. But, I even put my Aviva tie up, my yellow one, but I'm now feeling embarrassed. It's such huge numbers. But no, I mean, Dave, obviously a hugely expansive portfolio of titles and obviously a job that you've got there. How is it working at Aviva? And in terms of the ambition, I mean, you are what you are in the market. You're an absolute behemoth. So what's it like to work there day to day?
I think what's really interesting is just the breadth of the business is crazy. One minute you can be handling high net worth, the next minute you can be involved in a global corporate claim in the middle of the world somewhere. So you absolutely, it's absolutely it's a big business to run. Having said that, the one skill we do have is we can walk into any broker in the UK and they've got one contact for all of their business with Aviva. And that enables us to account manage brokers in a different way and work in partnership in a different way. So I suppose our mantra is to make sure that brokers get supported, that our customers get the outcome that they deserve, and that we make sure that we behave in the way the market would expect us to behave.
Yeah. And do you enjoy it?
It's great fun. Right? It's obvious that this is probably a golden era of Aviva, let's be honest. Yeah. We have been working very hard over the last 5 years to actually make this business what it is today. And that's from moving it from customer centricity right through to the efficiency and productivity and now technology development. So actually taking all of that, and also to mention, the acquisition of Direct Line, that brought us an awful lot more motor garages for repair centres at the same time. We've acquired the disaster care and the flood school, which actually helps our claims outcomes. And at the same time as all of that, we continue to expand the core business. And not to forget, of course, Probitas, as we've entered the Lloyd's market as well, which enables our international licensing to work in a different way.
To be branded Aviva, or is it still going to stay Probitas?
We branded that just last week. We branded it to Aviva Syndicates because obviously we've now got a US operation that should be up and running by the year end.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing with moving the dial, as they say these days, with a company like Aviva, is you've got such a breadth in the UK. Is the next expansive part going to be international, do you think? I mean, obviously you've got international footprints anywhere, regardless. So where and how do you see Aviva growing next?
Well, if you look at our Canadian operation has been hugely successful, and of course Jason Storr has joined the UK a few years back from Canada. Our Irish operation is exactly the same, and the new team, we have got high expectations for the new team in the US. Yeah. Having said that, we haven't touched the surface of the Probitas operation in the way you would expect. So all of that, when it comes together, we're continuing to grow in our home market. That's important to us. Also to diversify. And I know certainly the Probitas, or now Aviva Syndicates, that's been hugely successful also in Australia.
Yeah, and I have the privilege of being one of the judges here at the awards, and fantastic presentation from you guys. And it just proves, I think, you're not letting the grass grow under your feet. There's big developments on how you work with brokers, how you access brokers, how you quote. And there's some fantastic developments in that area, is there not?
There is. When I first came in, we had the strapline: visibility, responsiveness, and flawless execution. So Aviva should not trade on its size in the UK with its customers. It should trade because it gives the best customer outcome. And then the question is, everybody says that, so how do you differentiate yourself? So if you look at where we started this journey, the journey has been very much restructuring the UK footprint to make sure that our branch offices are where our brokers and our customers are. better local underwriting, better autonomy. And actually, it always makes me smile when you see in the press people talking about regional footprints, and actually they're closing offices, not opening them. So of course, as we announced Cardiff, there's others closing Cardiff, and we announced Southampton in Chelmsford, and a number of others, and expanded Manchester, Glasgow, Birmingham, and Belfast. Yeah. So all of that work was done. So first of all, getting our people on the ground. Once we've got our people on the ground, we then spent our time at the same time, collectively, we worked on the IT deployments that were to build. So without cutting a long story short, if you now send, I don't know, the best example, if you send me a 100 vehicle fleet quote today by email, that will fully ingest through our AI, and it's AI we built in-house. No human intervention whatsoever. That will automatically load our customer relationship platforms, and it's also load our guidewire platforms. It will calculate the street price, it will read the claims experience, it will give you a book price, and it will check all those reg numbers are correct. And all insurers remember those days when people would be stuck on the side of the road, you've got the reg number wrong, and you're sending clients flowers because they've been impounded. We have cancelled the account with the florist now, so it's all done. So and look, that means when our underwriters get the quote, all the work in the majority is done. We are paying the underwriters to use their experience to make a decision based on all of that enrichment.
Human intervention. Yeah.
And you know, and you talk about visibility, the next stage we went to is we then said, well, we're going to make our entire business transparent. So if within 30 minutes you've sent me that fleet quote, you can log on to our portal. You can even see which underwriters got it.
Yeah.
So our underwriters, once again, can't say they haven't seen the quote. They've got the quote. It's being deployed to them electronically. And then also our business developers can all see that quote is live and well as well. And also there's a number of scores on that quote that dictate our likeliness to win, what we think the other holding insurer is going to do, and most importantly, what we believe that regional market will do, because the regional markets are different.
Interesting, yeah.
It's quite incredible a day when our mid-market operations are dangerously close to being more efficient than digital.
Well,
and that's where the transformation is beginning to take place.
Interesting. So when you look at the competitors in the space, and you've got a very aggressive at the moment Intact, for instance, do you take joy from the competition? Do you actually how much of a competitor do you view them as, and some of the others? I mean, you've obviously got material deals being done like Beazley being bought out, etc. Don't know if that really cuts across too much of your world on the cyber side and other things that they're specialty at. But do you have that big whiteboard of competitors and how you're going to counter them? Does it keep you on your toes? How do you move something like Aviva to be still competitive at the sharp end?
Well, if you look at what we're doing in our technical rate calculations and our enrichment calculations, we are getting dangerously near the risk price, which is far more certain than it ever was. And of course, if you think Aviva with Direct Line integrated will trade nearly 12 billion in the UK, and that's an awful lot of postcode data. Yeah. So all of a sudden, you're starting to serve a different level of effectiveness through that, and therefore you can make the AI work. You can make agentic AI work because the scale is enabling the statistical relevance. Yeah. And I would argue that at every turn, that makes Aviva a better customer outcome than anywhere else. And look, I would say that, but I can give you some facts. Some good facts would be, we've got our own motor garages at the moment. Yeah. We've just launched our mini fleet product where you can reduce the excess by £200 if it goes to Solus, our garage network. Also, the average cost per claim is a lot lower in Solus, so it benefits us as well. But most importantly, the key-to-key time is 50% better than the average in the UK. Yeah. Can you imagine being a taxi and you get your car back 10 days earlier than anybody else?
The problem is that the car you're getting back, you're getting back is usually worse than the one you've given them, the nice one. They probably want to stay in the in the courtesy one for longer.
No, because in those 10 days, those cars will be back as they are.
No,
right?
I know. They're very true.
But you're right. Look, and look, then all of a sudden, and that's the difficult message, right? Yeah. That you can be placed with Aviva, even a more expensive price, and still this time next year, you've got a lower claims experience. Therefore, your price is now coming down and tracking in the right way. And that's what we're trying to achieve. In disaster care, exactly the same in property damage. Yeah.
Moving away from Aviva just for a second here, yourself.
Yes,
you're a Bristol boy,
I am indeed.
Bristol boy, and you were a long tenure at one of the insurers, Allianz, I think. You were quite a long tenure there. Have you seen social mobility from a boy from Bristol change over the period you've been in insurance? Is it much more egalitarian industry compared to what it was before?
Look, this has been, for me in particular, this has been quite a journey, I've got to say.
And for me, actually.
And it's not over yet. There's more to go.
Yeah, exactly. And look, when I first started at the Royal Insurance in Bristol, and you'll know a guy I used to work with called Les Bruin. Les
Purple Partnership.
And I would check cover notebooks. That was my job. And I would start writing cover notebooks.
It's gone downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly. And look, and the one thing back then, the Royal training was outstanding.
Yeah.
We could recite business interruption clauses. It was that level of granularity. So look, and I moved about the country. So one of my sons is Bristolian, one's from Birmingham, and my daughter's from the south. So they've all
got the different accents.
They've all got the same mother, I should say that. but it's you kept moving and you learnt your trade. And I think one thing common to all of us to run P&Ls of this size is you've done most things.
Where's home?
Home for me now is West Sussex.
Okay.
But the commute is so bad. And I'm getting to the age where getting home at midnight and up at 5 in the morning. So
3 day up here.
Yes, well, I do between 4 and 5 days in London, and I rent a flat locally to keep on top of it. But if you look, when I first came to London, I was one of the only regional accents in town, and I was a casualty underwriting manager by trade.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to slip underwrite for a bit, and that was an eye opener in terms of some of the comments you would get. And I could always remember going back to my wife in Bristol and saying, I will never be allowed to work in London.
Really?
And when you look at the diversification, now I accept London has not come far enough yet and the insurance market hasn't come far enough. There's an awful lot more to do. But if you look at how much the market's changed over that period, it's quite substantial. And if you look at the majority of organisations now are run on a meritocracy base as opposed to where you have come from. And I think that's a great win. And I think the more we can do to get more people in the industry, more people that are transparent and visible, more people that are honest in themselves. You know, integrity is a big word in this game. So, and that's what's really important, I think. And
I think those regional offices are a key part of that because obviously, as you said, you went to the local office. And then ultimately, it'd be the same for someone from Glasgow or Manchester or wherever. It's their first touch point. I mean, Norwich is an obvious example. I deal with your Norwich, especially the mid and high net worth team, and they're brilliant and they're long-standing. They're very good and they're long-standing because I can actually guarantee that the renewal I pick up the next year, I'm speaking to the same person about it, which I love. Now, it's that journey from there because a lot of the industry, let's be fair, is run on nepotism. It's people that see others in the industry and they go into it from there. So those regional offices are absolutely key to that. And then they eventually make their way to London if they do indeed, or they stand as regional offices. Do you see regionalism as the big driver? Do you think people will stay in those areas? Do you think they will build a subject matter expertise in those areas now? Because certainly with the Burnham agenda, he wants to move a lot of things up north, etc. Yeah. I mean, it behoves us then to really build those regional capacities and actually almost stay there, a bit like Admiral have done in Wales.
Before you answer that, and this is not to undermine what I think is a very, very important thing in that you are populating these regions, it's a repopulation, right?
Yes,
it's what it used to.
I agree.
Yeah, good point.
There's recognition that is fundamentally important for your career, for my career, I guess for all our careers.
Yeah. And look, and of course, because regionalisation can be done much more cost effectively, I don't think that's a dirty word. No? I think the ability to deploy technology so people aren't typing policy wordings or you're photocopying or and things are moving in that way. Actually, what's become more important, one, recruitment is quite difficult in London. We all know that. Office space is difficult in London. And what we have found is, a good example would be Southampton. When we opened Southampton branch, we had a 50% increase in applications.
Right.
So if you want to talk about social mobility and you want to talk about giving access to the insurance industry, which I clearly think is a great industry, that's the way to go. And in some cases, and of course every headhunter will hate me saying this, is more cost effective than paying a headhunter to look for the underwriters in the first place. So the regional expansion has been hugely successful to us. But you look at the way we're running the regions now, is people are, I see the market talking about, we're going to write up to this level in the regions, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We've gone full soup to nuts. The regions can write anything in their territory. And that's what's really important because the technology is allowing us to monitor all of that centrally, do our exposure management for the FCA and the PRA, and make sure we stay on top of all of that. And I think important thing here is AI and stats have enabled us to put the accountability back where it belongs, but in a very safe way.
Okay, can I just ask one quick question on specialty stuff? For instance, there's niche, let's say niche motor is a prime example of that, where it's difficult to place, hard to place, because they've got some unusual occupations within that. And that's one where, certainly in the past I've seen, for instance, Aviva, I think it was Prestige or one of them, they provided meaningful capacity, some of those. Do you see that as a play where you actually give the power of the pen to MGAs to access smaller lines? I mean, that's one of the criticisms of insurers generally, not just Aviva and everyone, but is that they're like a super tanker. So getting in there for, let's say, a small facility that might not be that material, it might not sit within your appetite, because you have to do quite a lot of work as a corporate, I guess, to get it through ProgGov and everything else. Do you see that as the kind of model to back MJs to do that more specialist stuff? Or do you see a day being head of brokers where you think, actually, we want a bit of everything direct?
Well, I think that's a brilliant question for where we find ourselves in our journey.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the capability we have, one of the big challenges I get is, why would you do a scheme, Dave, with an insurance broker or an MGA where they haven't got as much postcode or windstorm or theft data as you've got? So we're now in a position where we are launching a schemes platform at the moment, whereby we recognise that the MGA or the broker handles and gives us an area of expertise, or an area we're not comfortable trading ourselves, or it's a distribution channel we cannot access. We will allow people to API and call our databases as opposed to any other, to get the benefit of the databases we now run, but at the same time keep the autonomy of running the MGA or the scheme to give that exactness. And of course, as that system adopts, and clearly it's backed by AI, and the AI also reads the delegated underwriting guide, believe it or not. So you can type in, what should I do on this one, and it will read the broker's underwriting guide as well and tell them what they should do.
Sure.
And when you get to that level of sophistication, just like the regional position we discussed, the ability to guarantee customer outcomes because the data is so correct. And a good example would be, if you sent me a combined quote today, it ingests exactly the same as Minifleet. But what actually happens, 80% of every piece of new business that comes to us through new business today has the wrong wage roll and turnover. That is the beginning of the journey, where we can phone within 30 minutes and say the turnover's wrong, the wage roll is wrong. The sum insured is massively out. And we've got a BI calculation that we also do, which then adds value to make sure the outcome is certain. And if we can do that for MGAs and schemes using our data as well, what we don't want to do is take over their expertise, because that's what they do, that's what they add. And there's always reasons we're not in those markets. Sometimes we would need too much FTE, we don't have the right platform in to do it. Or bad experience in the past. So, and what you find, of course, with the difficult areas is you need to be a real expert.
Of course, Interesting. Really
it's amazing. We've got 5 minutes, so we've got a bit of time, but it's gone very, very quickly. What are your thoughts on the consolidation in the broking market? Obviously, the big are getting bigger, and they will continue to get bigger until they run out of decent-sized acquisitions. There is a few in the mid-market. You'll know I chair one, but there's a few in the mid-market, and then there's a lot of small ones. Does that create a particular issue for Aviva, or is that something that you celebrate?
It's horses for courses, I think, some of these. Some of the consolidations have been hugely successful, some have been more challenging. I think
best way of putting it.
It would be.
Let's write them down now.
It would not be authentic of me not to say the distribution ratio is a challenge when you come to these. And the advent of facility fees are definitely somewhat challenging. Because if you think in my electronic world, I can send the PDF of a policy wording. Why do I need to pay a facility fee to press send on a PDF? So those are real. Intel. They are real challenges within that market. But having said that, one, I'm lucky enough to be in a carrier which has a balance of size and scale with those distributors to have very sensible discussions.
And fantastic relations with all of them, right? In that you're very close to the broking market and have been for it forever, I guess.
Well, and look, the one thing we're proudest of, and we're very pleased to win awards and to get recognised for what we do, but those big organisations that do all their surveys across all their people over the UK, 10 out of the last 12 surveys were number one, and out the other 2 we were number 2, and we know why. We were number 2 to a specialty carrier. And that is what really matters. The account handlers on the ground across the whole of the network rate us as number 1, and the gap is getting bigger. So I also then smile at 95% trust scores. We're very important with our integrity and our trust in. You'll gather, I've got this thing, you see catchphrase, I'm a say what you see person. And I think that people know that's what we are, and we have very good corporate relationships. And look, sometimes it will be easier to have a corporate-on-corporate discussion with consolidated brokers than some of the other challenges we get. So I wouldn't say this was all bad or all good. I think there's a balance in how we account manage the book. We allow for our 110 brokers, which are hugely important to us in terms of keeping
It's been going for a long
broking.
time now, hasn't it?
And it's hugely successful for us. And all of those models continue to be important because we want to keep customer choice in the UK market.
Do you have an annual event, I think, for the one?
We do indeed. That's coming up in September. It's always the third week in September.
Angling for an invite? Is this
so?
No.
But once again, we'll be announcing that we've got a number of propositions we can't talk about today, but we'll be announcing a number of more propositions to support the independent broker then.
I think the biggest surprise for me certainly is that Lloyd's bit. I mean, many congratulations on Direct Line. I have absolutely no doubt you'll scrub that up and make it work. But the Lloyd's thing, I think, particularly with your background as well, it's a bold move. It's a sizable move, isn't it? I mean, are they a big business?
Yeah, and look, the opportunity is big as well.
Yeah.
If you look at the size of the opportunity, working in conjunction with Canada and Ireland we've already got, and now the US team is up and running. Now I think as we speak today, I think we've got 7 people, I believe, now recruited in the US, in New York, and they're beginning to build out their teams, and we're licensed in a number of states. So you can see it starting to move and take effect. And of course, if you look at our home markets, where we've been expert in, certainly in personal lines, in SME, in mid-market, and now the upper end of mid-market, or UK corporate, I suppose is the best way to phrase it.
Yeah.
You see exactly the same journey going on in Ireland and Canada, and now you see the early start in the US.
And one of the things, I mean, you have to remember as well is you don't have to look at the disparity in earning incomes between the Americans and us and the EU generally. It's like a 40% difference, and it's since about 2002 or whenever it was. And so all the growth is in America and these other countries. If you're not internationally exposed, that is a problem for Aviva, I guess, is because the UK is quite moribund. Our growth is not great, same with Germany, same with Europe. And so consequently, having exposure to those markets, it makes absolute sense. So yeah, you can see how the play, it works.
Exciting times.
Yeah. And you shouldn't miss the diversification benefit. Is big as well.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
So people think UK people are trading UK domestic. Think, well, what's that to do with me? Well, an awful lot because
under the Solvency II calculation, it's a big
under the capital use and under our pricing methodology. Our pricing methodology adapts to the diversification benefit you get coming through the books, and people always forget that. They forget that the scale gives advantages.
I don't, because it's how we trade, because we get the small little bits of capacity. They focus on the UK so that they can write more US hurricane business with the syndicates we trade from. It does actually work. We wouldn't exist but for it. But there we go.
Right. I'm afraid we're running out of time. You normally have a challenging...
Yeah, so we say, I mean, usually end with a question of, have you got anything you'd like to leave us with, either controversial or thought-provoking thought that you've observed recently or you think is a future trend of the industry you'd like our listeners and watchers to think about?
Well, I would start, and I would always start with this. I think I'm living proof. You can start on cover notebooks from A levels and make it all the way to the top of the industry. Yeah. And I think everyone should have faith that if they train properly, they know what they're doing, they learn their trade. It's a professional industry, this one. And everyone has the same opportunity. And I think the meritocracy is real and alive and genuine. So I don't think we're talking about it anymore. That's really happening. Yeah. And I think everyone should stay focused on that. I think the other thing is, people talk about difficult markets. Well, hard markets are difficult. Soft markets are difficult. All markets are difficult. Everyone knows there's more work in a hard market. There's more work in a soft market. It's all gone mad. Actually, you should see the opportunities when they arise. In hardship is an opportunity. And actually, I think you make braver decisions as the market gets tougher. You make decisions that make more investment sense. And you make decisions that are better strategic decisions for the long term. And I think too many people who miss the difference between strategy and tactics. Our tactics shift as the market shifts and our competitors shift. Our strategy is the same. That is to make sure that all our customers get the outcome they deserve. We use our buying power intelligently, and you think we spend 8 billion a year on claims to make sure we get the right supply chain, the right loss adjusting, which 75% we now do in-house, the right garages, which we now repair ourselves. We make sure that everything we now do is about the customer outcome. And all our enrichment at the front end is the same. So this concept of the client is substantively better off with Aviva, we think is alive and well, and we think we can prove it.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Very
powerful.
Thank you very much. And thank you for our listeners and watchers today, and we look forward to joining you next time. Thank you and goodbye.